fantasy football. Lucky for you, you are right where you need to be. So sit back, relax, and turn up the volume on your streaming device. Johnny Ballgame, Sir Poops-a-Lot, and the Fantasy Reaper are about to deliver humor and fantasy gold at the same time. Crush your opponent with a smile. It's Fantasy Sports Island.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Island.
We should talk football.
We should talk football today, Johnny. Definitely.
You know what? That's a great idea. Yeah.
All right, let's do that. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Island, where we assist you in your fantasy football league to win the chip. That's what we do for you. You know what else we do for them? We invented PPR. That's right. PPR, if you're playing it, it's because of us. And I'm not joking. For real, we invented PPR. You're welcome. If you like PPR, say thank you. Do us a favor. Hit that like button. Maybe subscribe, because we do this every freaking week. And with me, as always, is my main man, Jonathan Ballgame.
That's the name my mom gave me, Jonathan Ballgame.
What's your middle name, Jonathan?
Wesley. Jonathan Wesley Ballgame.
There you go. Jonathan Wesley Ballgame. By the way, if you want to hit him up on Twitter, at JohnIsbell85. Is that for the 85 Bears, Johnny?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Sure.
I was a wide receiver, and I wore number 85. That's actually what that's for, but the 85 Bears is a way better reason. So, yeah.
Excellent. Welcome to the show, my other main man, Tony Sir Poops-a-Lot Brooks.
What's up? Gentlemen. Good to see you guys. Good to see you.
Always good. Are you pooping a lot lately, Tone?
No, 3 days. It's been 3 days. That's why my eyes are turning brown.
Nice. It's doing wonders for your hair, though. It's not gray like mine.
Yeah, that's true.
No one knows that you're like 15 years older than me. So,
anytime you want to get rid of gray hair, just don't poop for 2 weeks. It'll go.
I have no idea. If that's the case, Chuck's hair should be jet black.
It nearly is, Johnny. Actually, I poop a lot. More than you think. I'm just saying.
Well,
I don't know how we started talking about poop, but we're supposed to talk about football.
So, America, you're welcome again. PPR and Chuck's poop habits. Let's do it.
Let's talk football, shall we?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. We're on YouTube. We're also on that other platform called Rumble. So if you want to check us out there, hit Fantasy Sports Island into your search. You'll find us right away. Welcome to the show. Look us up on podcasts as well. And what we're going to do for the next hour, we're going to talk some news and notes, and then we're going to dedicate the rest of the show to our fantasy football draft wish list. We're going to talk about the upcoming draft, which is 8 days away, boys, 8 days away. And we're going to talk about each team and what we want them to do offensively for their team so that fantasy football is more fun. Right, Johnny?
That's why it's more fun. More funner.
More funner. And Tony, so this will be our best episode prior to the draft, I think the most fun, because we're going to talk about every single one of his teams out there. Every single one of them. And we're going to say who we want them to get to make them more fun. That's fun.
Yeah, it's exciting. And then we get to see what happens in 8 days. I can't believe it's draft time. Can't believe it.
I mean, it's coming, man. It is coming. Super exciting. All right, guys. So have a drink, pina colada, whatever you want, your choice of drink. Sit back, relax for the next hour, because here we go. We're going to talk about news and notes, and everyone wants to talk about the big story, John. The Steelers have traded for Allen Robinson for a 7th round pick.
Wow.
Wow. The Rams will pay $10 million of Robinson's salary as well. So Pittsburgh's getting him basically for $5 million, John. What do we think? Is this a good deal?
I mean, it's depth. It's a veteran. If he's got a good attitude going in, I mean, you're up $5 million for a veteran depth. I guess he didn't show out last year or the year before, but who knows? Maybe 3 years after his last good season, he'll hit it.
Mm-hmm. 3 times the charm. Tony, do we care that Allen Robinson is, on the Steelers? Do we care?
Not really. But the Steelers got nothing to lose for $5 bills, right? It's not gonna. I guess it's a chance they can take. Maybe something will work out, but I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, for fantasy purposes, you're not drafting Allen Robinson, especially now that he's on the Steelers. I mean, there's just no way. He's 3rd on the depth chart, and I have a sneaking suspicion he'll be 4th by the time this draft is over. I mean,
I'm pretty sure you're right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But seriously, the story that everyone's talking about is the deal that Eagles quarterback, your favorite quarterback, Jalen Hurts, 5 years, $255 million extension. That does make him the highest paid player on an annual basis. And $110 million fully guaranteed, with an opportunity for that to reach actually $178 million guaranteed. And he has a no trade clause. So first of all, let's unpack all this. John, what does this mean for Joe Burrow? I'm thinking of Sherbert out in Los Angeles. What does this deal mean for them and Lamar Jackson?
I think it resets the level for all of them, right? They all kind of know what's coming now because they're all right in that same thing. I think what Philadelphia did was really smart because it's possible Hurts could be even better this year, right? And so I think they locked him up. It's guaranteed money, but it's not a giant bunch of that is guaranteed. I think Philadelphia maybe that guy might be brilliant. The GM over there. Like, I think this is really smart way to do it. They don't have to go into the off season. They're not going to wait into his 5th year and all that stuff. Like, it's done. Nobody has to worry about it. Nobody has to talk about it. It's not a thing. They know how much money they have going into the draft, going into free agency. I loved it. It's a great move.
Also, why I like it is because they did it first. Of all the guys that are upcoming, with their extensions are coming up, they did theirs first, which means all the other contracts will probably have to top that number. And so they get the lowest and best value of all the contracts.
They get the lowest of the highest, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Joe Burrow, right? I mean, Tony, Joe Burrow's going to come to the table and be like, okay, I just want like $1 million more a year than Hurts got. Can you give it to me?
Well, you would imagine, but I also hear rumblings coming out of Cincinnati about wanting to keep T. Higgins and possibly some other pieces of that puzzle, that Burrow might actually come down a little bit or look for something that's going to be a little bit more extended so they can pay him in the long run and keep some of their money now. But I think he's, out of all those guys, I think he's damn well worth the more money.
Yeah. That's kind of hard.
It's a low-risk deal for a guy like Jalen Hurts, who we've seen improve in every facet of the game, because he did have a lot of weaknesses. His for one his ball placement and his accuracy, he's improved tenfold in that area. He's a guy that busts his ass. We see him in the weight room lifting incredible amounts of weight. He's smart. He's a good teammate. He's a nice guy in general. The perfect guy to give this kind of money to.
Good leader. Yeah, really good leader.
Yeah, great leader. So I'm happy for Jalen, but what I do think this means is Burrow's next, and so is Herbert, and they're going to want that bag, and it's going to unload all the dollar signs, baby. Here they come. These guys are all going to get fed.
Yeah.
All right. Bryce Young has canceled all his remaining pre-draft meetings, visits, whatever you want to call them, with potential suitors in the draft. And a lot of people are speculating that's because the Carolina Panthers have basically made it clear they're going to take him number one, which is it's a change, John, because we all thought it was going to be your boy Stroud, but now it's sounding like it's not going to be Stroud. It's probably going to be Bryce Young. What do we think?
I think you're right. I mean, he's met with the top three teams right now. He's met with three teams, which is Carolina, Houston, and I think he also met with the Raiders, who are also looking for a quarterback. Obviously, one of them said, "Well, if Carolina doesn't take you, we're going to take you." And then, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty much already done. So the only thing I could see happening is I could see Bryce Young getting picked at 1, and then I could see the Colts trading up to number 2 to get Stroud. That's kind of how I feel like it's going to go out.
I do too, because the Texans have been taking calls for their second pick. They've made that very clear. There's speculation that they're not sold on Stroud. So if Bryce Young goes 1, they're not taking a quarterback at 2. So they're looking to trade out of that position, which is interesting. This draft could go totally different than we originally thought, Tony.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I think they're really moving towards trading that. And number 2 pick, I don't know why they would, but if they got something up their sleeve that sounds better.
They got Davis Mills, so maybe they're really sold on Davis Mills.
I guess so. I don't know why they would do that, but like I said, they have something up their sleeve. They're the professionals, so we'll see how it turns out.
Well, I think they know they're not going to compete this year, and D'Amico Ryans is there for the long term. So I think he's looking at it long term. Like, we need a defensive player, an edge rusher. Maybe they take, someone in that aspect at the 2 pick, or if they trade down and get multiple picks, they can really improve their team a lot better. If you're not sold on the guy being the best quarterback in the draft, I get it. I just think they're mistaken because of the Texans. I think CJ Stroud, right, John? I mean, he's a fine quarterback. What are we doing here?
Fantastic quarterback and way better than anything they've got. He's a franchise quarterback, and I do believe the Colts are going to just take him. Yep.
Wouldn't that be interesting? They could get him at 4 because the Arizona Cardinals, they're not taking a quarterback at 3. They've been trying to trade down, and it may just end up being where those 2 teams take defensive players, and then we get to 4 and the Colts get Stroud.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible, but they would also have to worry about somebody jumping up and trading with one of those 2 teams. You know what I mean? So I think the Colts are going to trade up to get Stroud if that happens. It's my opinion.
So you think they're going to trade up with the Texans and get Stroud? You think that's what's going to happen? I don't think they're going to want to let anybody else have that opportunity, because I think the Raiders could also trade up and get Stroud. I think the Falcons could decide they want to trade up and get Stroud. I mean, there's a lot of teams with a lot of needs, and CJ Stroud is going to be a phenomenal quarterback. I mean, I agree. I just don't think that scouts in the NFL agree with us anymore, John. I'm hearing things that there's a lot of holes in Stroud's game, and I'm not sure he's going to go 2. I mean, it makes sense to me if he would just go 4 to the Colts. That makes sense. I don't know if they're going to trade too much capital to move up.
You're saying it's not going to be necessary, probably. They're probably not going to need to. He may fall number 4. That's
my feeling now. My feelings have changed. I feel like the Texans are going to take a defensive player, and I feel like the Cardinals might do the same thing or take a offensive lineman, and then the Colts will just – I just don't think anyone's willing to pay the price to move up 2 spots, 3 spots to go get Stroud when they think they can just wait.
Yeah.
It's a gamble.
Yeah.
But a possibility, yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our one and only segment this week. We're going to focus in on the NFL draft, which is coming up next week. And what we want to look at is team by team, what their needs are, offensively only. We only care about fantasy, so we're going to talk offensive players and what we'd like to see them get in the draft to make them more fantasy relevant. So let's just go A to Z, John. I want to start with the Cardinals. Obviously, they got Kyler Murray. They're probably going to trade DeAndre Hopkins or cut him. So, I mean, do they need a receiver? Is that who you think they should get?
desperately need a receiver. I mean, if you're getting rid of Nuke, who else? They've got a couple of guys who are okay, right? No, there's nobody good.
Hollywood Brown.
They've got. Name the last full season Hollywood had where he was amazing.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet.
You can't do it, right? Yeah.
So the Cardinals have 8 total picks. So beyond we think they're going to get a wide receiver, I would like to see them beef up their offensive line to protect Eazy-E back there.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also think they're probably not sold on Connor being the running back of the future either. So I imagine they're going to want to get a running back in the first couple of rounds too.
I would imagine a running back they would probably pick later in the draft, maybe on day 2 or even day 3.
Yeah,
I'm not
day
sure.
2, like a third round.
Yeah. Tony, what do you want to see the Cardinals do?
Well, this isn't really fantasy relevant, but I don't like the fact that, I mean, it is if you want to take into consideration drafting their entire defense this year, but I don't like with Watt being gone. I'd kind of like to see them get a nice linebacker, somebody that can, or a good pass rusher, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I thought the Cardinals defense was pathetic last year, many games. And they've been notorious, not notorious, that's a bad word. The past few years before that, they had good defenses, above average. And they were a great second defense, sometimes even number 1. So I'd like to see them beef up the defense.
Okay. And they very well might. I mean, like I said, they have 8 picks. They have a first, a second, 2 thirds, a 4th, 5th, and 2 6th. So they're going to do some damage in the draft. I wouldn't even be surprised if, say, a guy like Will Levis falls to the 2nd round, or a guy like the guy from Tennessee, Hooker. Thank you.
Hooker.
Hooker falls to the 2nd round. I wouldn't be surprised if they went there, John.
I wouldn't either. You already know how I feel about Easy. So,
All right. Let's move on.
I would be backing that guy up immediately, if not sooner.
Yeah, I mean, he had a devastating knee injury too. We don't know how he's going to respond, so it's possible.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Atlanta Falcons. To me, more than any other team, the Atlanta Falcons need a quarterback. I don't know why they're not jumping in to try to get Lamar Jackson, trading up to get one of the, a 2nd, 3rd pick so they can get Stroud or Bryce Young or whoever falls there. I mean, do we agree with that?
Absolutely.
Even trading up to get like a Will Levis, a Hooker. They need a quarterback. I don't think Desmond Ridder is the answer. And I loved Ridder in college. I love his grit. I love his determination, blah, 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 blah. He's not a good pro quarterback.
The Falcons also have their 7 picks, but after the third, what's that?
I'm sorry. They need a wide receiver, and they need to they need to throw to Pitts, but they also need a wide receiver. But all you got is Drake London, and then a bunch of other guys.
Yeah.
Dude, are we satisfied with the running back room there?
But honestly, I think the Atlanta Falcons are maybe the worst team in the league. Like, you could name any need, and you're like, yep. Do they need this? Yep. You know what I mean? Like, other than Houston, they're probably the worst team.
Wow. Okay.
You might be right.
So the Falcons need one of everything.
You could literally just look at them and go, yes. That's it. That's their needs. Yes. All of it.
Coach?
Might be down on the Falcons. I feel a little bit mean, actually. Sorry. Yeah, I don't think Arthur Smith's a good coach.
So they need a coach as well.
GM. I fire everybody. Arthur Blank is the only guy who can stay. That's it. And that's because he owns the team.
Yeah, he doesn't have to fire himself. Okay. Yeah. Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, a lot depends on if Lamar's going to stay or not. It's sounding more and more like he is going to stay. So I'm not sure a quarterback is in their needs anymore. So they have 5 picks in this draft, a 1, 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. So what do we want to see them do there, Tony? What do you like Baltimore to do?
Well, if he stays, which, it looks like an 80% chance now, I think they need a wide receiver. I don't like that situation. The 2 guys they have from last year are consistent at best, and then you got Beckham coming in who barely plays.
Yeah.
Extremely talented, but was like a 1-year contract. 1 year to get, it's going to take some time to get rolling. Grab a wide receiver, man. That's what I would do.
I think they should grab 2 wide receivers. I'm not kidding. I mean, they don't have to be like early in the draft. They could get a couple guys like 4th, 5th round, back to back, something like that. I mean, there's guys in the top 10 like Marvin Mims or Josh Downs or Jalen Hyatt. These are good receivers that might fall to them in those rounds.
Yeah. I will also say this. They got to shore up that offensive line. Lamar Jackson's injuries aren't coming when he's scrambling. They're coming when he's getting hit on a sack in the back. Like that's the last 2 years he's been injured on a sack. Their line's not great. It's a pretty good run line, but it's just not a real good pass protection line. And so I'd like to see them get that. I agree with you. They've got Bateman, they've got Duvernay. They signed Nelson Aguilar, kind of a who cares sign. Odell Beckham Jr., who knows? Can Bateman stay healthy ever? So I agree. I'd get at least 2 wide receivers. I'd get a left tackle. I'd get a right tackle. Probably look at backing up the center. I'd go all offense. Their defense is fine. It's fine. They don't really need much there.
Okay. All right. We're in fantasy, so we like that. Let's go on to the Buffalo Bills. I'm just going to say it right now. They have the number 27 overall pick, and I can totally see them taking Bijan Robinson. And I know that would piss you guys off because he wouldn't go to
what number are they? What numbers they're at? Or what number's their pick?
Number 27.
I don't think Bijan will still be there.
Bijan's going to go in the 20s, I think. It's possible.
I think Bijan will be gone. I feel – well, we'll get to Dallas in a little bit. I think Dallas is going to do something stupid and actually trade and get Bijan before anybody else can. It's just it's a weird opinion to have.
So the Bills have 6 picks. If they don't take, Bijan or something, what else do we want? I mean, I think they need a wide receiver too, because I mean, Gabe Davis let me down last year, and
sure
they
did.
need someone to complement Steph Diggs. And if it's not going to be DeAndre Hopkins, they need someone in the draft. Tony, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. But this is me personally. I know he's a badass, but I want to see Josh Allen slow down a little bit. I'd like to improve the offensive line a little bit.
Totally agree.
I don't want him running as much.
Yeah.
He's getting older. He's young. He's strong. But he can throw. So if they improve the offensive line and also got the wide receiver like you're talking about, like a serious number 2 wide receiver, man, they'd be scary.
I agree, Chuck, with your first instinct on a running back. I just don't know that Bijan will be there, but they're going to get a running back in one of the 2nd or 3rd round, I think, because they need it. They brought in, Damian Paul Harris, your guy, and he'll be better than Singletary. And better than anybody there, but they're going to have to draft somebody. That's a 1-year deal, I think, on the Damian Harris, so he's not going to be there after this year. Let's draft our running back of the future. Let's get a tackle. They need a tackle. I agree with Tony. I think he takes off running too much because he's getting chased in the backfield. Any team that puts a lot of pressure on them wins.
Yeah. All right. Carolina Panthers. They have the number 1 overall pick. They traded up to do it. They're most likely going to take Bryce Young, okay, or C.J. Stroud. We'll see, but most believe it's going to be Bryce Young now. They also have 5 other picks. They have a 2, a 3, and they have 2 4s and a 5. So they have a lot of draft capital in the top half of the draft. Okay, so let's assume the first pick is the quarterback. They don't pick again until the 2nd round. What are we looking to do there, John?
Wide receiver. They don't have anybody left, right? I mean, they gave away their one good one and more to Chicago when they traded up. I mean, they've got Adam Thielen, who's 33 by the time the season starts. They've got DJ Chark, who could be good, but he's, one good season so far? I mean, is he, maybe a season and a half really good? It's really unproven in the receiver room. I'd get somebody in there quick.
I think Carolina needs a tight end. Name the last tight end that was any good in Carolina since Olsen retired.
I was going to say Greg Olsen was the last good tight end. So
yeah. So
good point.
There's Michael Mayer, I believe is his name, from Notre Dame. He might be there in the second round. I think he's probably a first round pick, but a tight end might be. Yeah, we'll get to that. But then there's like guys like Quentin Johnson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. These are guys that are going to be available right there in the second round.
Really good one. I don't think Smith and Jigba won't be there, but everybody else that you just named, except for the USC guy and Smith and Jigba, have a possibility of being there. So I'm with you.
Okay. Let's talk about your Bears, John. I'm going to let you start. Tell me what you want the Bears to do with their 10 picks.
10 offensive linemen immediately, if not sooner. No, I'm serious. I would draft a crap ton of offensive linemen. They just don't have anybody that's good. They do have DJ Moore that just came over. They got Deontay Foreman that just came over. Little Bobby Tunyon. So these are like, B-level guys that are going to fill some really good needs in the positions. The Bears wide receiver room is not horrible. Like people go, maybe a Smith and Jigma there would be fun just because I'd like to pair the Ohio State boys. So I would like that. But if I were them, my first pick would be an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Probably the dude out of Ohio State, the tackle out of Ohio State, which suddenly I can't remember his name, but I like that guy.
Who do they take at number 9 overall? Offensive lineman?
Left tackle.
Okay.
Give me a left tackle. Give me a mainstay, 10-year, all-pro left tackle. That's who I want.
Exactly. Okay, Tony.
Starter.
Let's talk about your Bengals. They have 7 total picks. They have the number 28 overall pick in the first. And they basically have every round. They kept all their picks. So tell me what you want them to focus on.
Well, if we're talking about me personally, my opinion, a lot of people are going to disagree, but I still think we need to focus on the offensive line and some pass covers, some backfield defensemen. But the O-line, there's plenty of talent there. If they can keep the guys that they have, they don't even need to really improve the running game that much. They're fine. You could see that they could score. Give him more time. Give him more protection. Let Burrow lead the pack there. Keep improving the offensive line. You cannot improve it too much. That's what I'd like to see.
And I think at 28, if they don't get like a guy like Bijan Robinson, that is the perfect time to get Michael Mayer at tight end. Right, John? They got Irv Smith, and we like that move, but this guy is a potential 10-year veteran tight end. Yeah, all world. Great hands, steady, good route runner.
Good blocker, good route runner. Got some speed to him, got a little wiggle to him, take it up the seam. I really like that guy. That's who I would pick if I were them. But I also agree with Tony. They need offensive linemen because I don't even know that I trust Orlando Brown. And I thought that was a good signing because it was for sure an upgrade. Mm-hmm. But do you trust it? Do you trust that that's the answer at left tackle? I don't know if I do.
And he's not.
I don't know if it's the answer. No, he's not. He's got some mileage.
Yeah.
He's good. He's going to help.
Yeah.
Is it the answer? Is it the future?
Yeah.
Not quite.
Do we want to look at a running back later in the draft, John?
Would you blame them if they took Bijan if he was available? Would you blame them if they did that?
Sure. If Bijan's there and you can get him, that's great because most likely they can just cut Joe Mixon. So great. But if he's not there, we talk about third round.
Yeah.
Chardonnay. That's a guy I like.
They've got to get somebody, right? I mean, they got rid of Samardzija, which is unfortunate because I liked Samardzija this last year. The guys behind them are, I don't know. I mean, Captain America, I believe, is one of them, Chris Evans. I can't even remember the other guy's name who thinks he's going to get some time. We need a running back.
Yeah, they haven't been too impressive.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about those Cleveland Browns. They don't have a first or second round pick, so their picks begin in round 3, and they have 8 of them. So they have quite a few picks in those middle rounds. But what do we want them to get? I'll start with you, Tony.
I don't really know. I hate the Browns. I guess defense. I mean, they don't have any good backup running backs right now. So if Chubby, gets hurt or something, they could be a little bit screwed. But it sounds to me more like the defense. From what I remember, defensive line. I'm going to leave it at that. I hate them.
What about for fantasy purposes, John? What would we like to see to help Deshaun Watson?
So remember they brought in Elijah Moore, who 2 years ago was a 1,000-yard receiver. He had a weird year last year. I like that move. I think pairing him with Amari Cooper is kind of nice. They brought in Marquise Goodwin, who's a good number 3, right? I mean, that guy always makes some big catches at big times. He's never going to be your star, but he's got some speed still. I still want another wide receiver. I don't think they need a tight end. I think they're set there. I would like to see a running back behind Chubster with Kareem still as now a free agent, and Dearness goes to camp is gone. So, I think they need a running back for depth. I think that's probably round 3 or probably 4 or 5. Actually, I see a Chardonnay going there. Actually, I could see that, but I would get another wide receiver.
Okay. I would also, wide receiver. I'm thinking like a slot type wide receiver, a little speedy slot guy. Let's get slotty. I mean, I always like slots. You know what I mean? Let's get slotty.
I mean, you've already got a Chubb. You might as well get slotty.
Hey! All right, let's talk about them boys. How about them Cowboys? 7 picks coming. They have every round. They kept all their picks.
Where do they pick in the first round?
26 overall.
Okay, here's my gut. They're going to trade up a bit, and they're going to get Bijan. Don't call me Dijon Robinson.
So,
Jerry
you think
Jones
they need to trade up?
loves the splash. Yeah, because I think they'll think there's some teams that might want a good running back, and Bijan is first. He's a first-round running back, and that's not normal these days. Bijan's a guy. He played at Texas. He's a splash guy. Jerry hasn't made a splash in the draft in a bit, and he's aching to. I think Jerry Jones makes a deal and gets Bijan.
All right, Tony, what do you think?
I'm going to go the boring route again. I'm back to a line, offensive line. I want them to improve that a little bit. I think they're going to be. I think this is the do or die year, and I think it's a do. So if they improve the offensive line a little bit, I think my gut is the offense is going to be dominant this year. I think it's going to click this year.
Okay. I think they need.
We'll see.
They need a tight end too.
They got to need a tight end, but Dalton Schultz is gone.
Yeah, he's gone. So
that's true.
Maybe a guy like Sam Laporta out of Iowa, just like a big corn-fed white boy that can catch the ball over the middle like Jason Witten.
So Witten 2, Electric Boogaloo? Yeah, I think, but that's probably round 2 or 3, right? Like they're not going to get him in the first round. Don't do that. Yeah. But can you imagine they get Bijan and they get themselves a big old tight end? Oh, this is a nice looking offense, though. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Scared.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are going to be a little bit more run heavy now that Kellen Moore moved on and they want to run the ball more. Yep. So, I mean,
and Pollard's a little scary. Pollard's scary, though. I mean, he's going to be good, but he's coming off an injury and he's on a franchise tag.
Yeah.
So.
All right. This one will be short. It's because the Denver Broncos, and they only have 5 picks, and they don't pick in the first 2 rounds. They have the fewest amount of picks of all the teams, I believe. So, I mean, Denver has a lot of needs, but they don't have a lot of picks. So we're not going to concentrate too much on them. If you had to pick one position they need to improve, I mean, what are we thinking here? I'm thinking offensive line.
Offensive line.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they don't fix that and what's his name? Russell has another running all over the field season and sucks. They're never going to be able to live it down. So they have to protect him.
Okay. Detroit Lions, they have 9 picks.
Oof.
They have the number 6 overall pick, and they have the number 18 overall pick. So the Lions could make a huge splash in the draft, but question is, with these picks, are they taking offensive players? John, what do you think?
Not with the first one, but I wouldn't be surprised if they take another wide receiver. I wouldn't be surprised to give them one more weapon out there. I don't know that they're sold on Josh Reynolds. Chark moved on. They've got Jamal Williams. Is it Jamal Williams? What's that?
Jameson Williams.
Yeah, Jameson Williams, and of course our boy, that we like, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But after that, there's nobody, and they definitely don't have a tight end. So I think tight end's probably second round. That would surprise me if they stuck with the 18th pick for a tight end, right? So they might trade down and get even more picks, or they might just go too defensive, come back and go wide receiver, tight end in the second round. I think that's probably what will happen.
This is a sneaky place to get Jackson Smith and Jigba.
God, can you imagine?
Number 18. Can you imagine?
I can't.
Oh my
Would
God.
that not be fun?
That would be a nice team right there with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Yeah. That's dirty, Chuck. That was dirty what you
If
did.
you do it, you improve their defense though. If you look at their season and all the points the defense gave up,
Yeah.
if you just cut that third, how many more wins do they have?
Yeah, but
They're that good.
Tony, they have 7 other picks they can use on their defense. We're talking about fun.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. Their first pick, I would look at tight end personally, but yeah, I'm excited. I love the underdogs. I love the crappy
Can you imagine
small market teams. I hope Detroit kills
and go
them.
Smith and Jigba and then a tight end like in the first round, like they surprise everybody and go 2 offensive people in the first round. That's Dan Campbell does love him some tight ends because he was one. So
True.
All right, Green Bay Packers. They have 10 picks. The Green Bay Packers have quietly created a little plethora of draft picks that they can choose here. And we still don't know what they're going to get when they eventually trade Aaron Rodgers. They're going to get a little more in the draft capital. They need improvements in a lot of places, but where do you want them to start? Tony, where do you want them to start?
isn't it all?
I kind of want a tight end there. I'd like to see them get a good tight end. I think that would help him out, Love tremendously. And though they have some really good young wide receivers, the guys aren't fully proven. They could grab another excellent wide receiver, and I think it would really help out that QB and offensive situation. So tight end, wide receiver, I'd love to see that.
John, you agree the wide receiver is pretty obvious, right?
I think you need 2. I think you better get 2. You've got Dobbs and Watson, and that's it. Lazard's gone. Cobb is probably going to a retirement home.
He's going to go to the Jets.
Yeah, I know. I was just kidding. But you're right about the tight end. They need a tight end faux show. They got rid of Bobby T. And I think they're bringing back Mercedes Lewis. I don't know. Is that guy? He might be eligible for Social Security at this point.
And guess what? I saw Jace Sternberger playing in the USFL this weekend.
Remember, he was Aaron's dude. Yeah. Green Bay's got a lot of needs. Green Bay's not going to be good for a bit. So I would go wide receiver, come back tight end, get some offensive linemen. I do everything I could to help them with the Love experiment because they need that to work.
Yeah.
Good. All right, let's talk about a team that has the second overall pick and the 12th overall pick in the first round, the Houston Texans. They have 12 total picks, guys. The Houston Texans could completely rejuvenate their franchise this year if they do this right, but we already think they're doing it wrong because they're talking about not taking C.J. Stroud. So let's talk about this. John, what do you want them to do, first of all? Just tell me what you want them to do.
I want him to stay and take C.J. Stroud. I just think it's asinine to even think about trading out of this pick. C.J. Stroud is a great – now, as a CJ Stroud fan, because I'm an Ohio State fan, I desperately don't want him to go to Houston because that seems a place where quarterbacks go to die. Deshaun Watson did okay there for a while, but other than that, name me any other good Houston quarterback. Probably can't do it, right? Some okay one. Yeah, it's been a minute and a half. They got to have wide receivers. I mean, I know they traded for Bobby Trees, but nobody thinks that's a good pick. Noah Brown is okay. He did okay last year in Dallas, but he's not a star. They've lost Brandon Cooks. I don't know who they're throwing to. So they got Dalton Schultz and they got Singletary. They don't need a running back because I think they're set in the running back room, quite frankly. Quarterback, wide receiver, offensive lineman. I would almost overhaul my entire offense with those 12 picks.
Yeah, and with 12 picks, you could get 3 of them be wide receivers because that's what they need. For years, we've been talking about how mediocrity ends up in Houston at wide receiver. And now they have a chance to just like stock up.
Yeah.
Tony, you agree?
For years, though.
Yeah, I do agree with saying, but I still don't see how you can pass on a QB because with that number of picks, like you're saying, you grab the QB and then you build
You're
around
set,
him.
literally.
15 minutes later. I mean, you're talking about you're immediately a competitive franchise if you grab the QB and then go from there. By the end of the draft, we're going to be looking at the Texans going, oh, shit, they could be doing some damage instead of
think about this. They could be the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s. They could get their franchise quarterback, a franchise wide receiver the year after they got a franchise possible running back, right? They could get a left tackle, and they could draft a tight end, all in this draft. We could be talking about these Houston Texans in the same way we talk about the Cowboys and how they built it in the 90s through the draft.
Man,
I just got excited for Houston.
Excited about the Texans.
I know. I just talked myself into liking Houston. But the problem is they're not going to do that. They're going to do something stupid and screw it up.
Yeah. First things first, they're not going to take Stroud most likely, and that's error number 1 right there off the board. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about a team that might take CJ Stroud. That's Indianapolis Colts. They have the number 4 overall pick. They may trade up. They may get him at 4. They have 9 total picks. Tony, what would you like to see the Colts do?
Similar situation. Grab the QB. Let Minshew or Foles teach him for a couple games, train him. Grab a QB, man. They got to have it. They know they're going to get a QB, so get them.
Yeah, they filled their mediocre Paris Campbell void with a mediocre Isaiah McKenzie. So there was a 1-for-1. But they need a wide receiver. After the quarterback.
They do need the quarterback. They need a wide receiver. And I think they need a lineman or two as well. Their offensive line went from being the best in the league to pretty poor last year. So I think they need to improve the offensive line.
Yeah.
Okay. Jacksonville Jaguar.
Wait, before we go on. Stroud's not there at 4. What do you do if you're the Colts?
I'll tell you what I think they're going to do. I don't think I would. I think they take Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. I've heard them pump up Will Levis.
I think it's Will Levis. I think people are going, Anthony Richardson, an athlete, and man, is he an athlete? But he doesn't. I don't know. I just don't know if they're sold on him yet as a quarterback.
It's just going to take a lot of work. He's got a lot to work on.
Yeah. Now, somebody like the Chiefs or the Bills or somebody like that has the luxury of drafting a Richardson. What a smart pick that is, because he can sit for a couple of years behind a great quarterback. They can groom him. That'd be fantastic.
I think a team like the Raiders would be better fit because they have Garoppolo for 1 year, so Richardson could.
Yeah, that's a good spot. Yeah, that's a good spot. Yeah, kind of do the Mahomes thing, right, where he sits for the year, maybe plays in that last game. Yeah.
Jaguars. We're super excited about their offense. They got Ridley back. They have Christian Kirk. They have Ingram at tight end. I mean, they have a lot of weapons, John. They're loaded. Yeah, yep. They have 9 picks as well. They're picking 24 overall. What do we think they're going to do with their first round pick? Are we beefing up the offensive line?
Yeah, I think it's the line. I think they're going to add a lot of defense, I think, because that's still where they're pretty weak right now. But I think you're going to get an offensive line. You might get a later round running back, because I don't know if they're sold on Dearness Johnson being their backup running back, but he's there for a 1-year deal. So you might get somebody to back up ATM who's had a couple of injury rounds. But boy, I bet it's going to be a tackle or a center for their first round pick.
Yeah, I agree. You could get a late wide receiver too. We don't know, what Ridley's going to do.
I do.
They could get somebody for some depth.
I like him so much this year.
I do. I do too.
Yeah, even though I liked him so much 3 years ago.
I know he hurt me bad, but I do like. I love a comeback story and a guy who's motivated. Those are really good. That's a good thing on a team that's going to really welcome him.
They still have the wizard too, Zay Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget they have Zay Jones. He's their third wide receiver, so they're loaded. All right, let's talk about the Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champs. They have 10 freaking picks. They have all picks in all rounds and a couple extras along the way. Man, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what a team that just won the Super Bowl needs, but I still think it's wide receivers.
Does anybody else feel or have this like spidey sense tingling that it's going to be Nuke?
You think they're going to go and get DeAndre Hopkins?
Get DeAndre Hopkins. This feels like an Andy Reid move where he gets them still got a little bit left in the tank, bring him in, and motivated to win a Super Bowl. This feels like a really nice spot for them. For that.
That would be fantastic. If you're a DeAndre Hopkins fantasy dynasty owner, you would love that. There is not a better spot than going to Kansas City to play with Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Right?
And he tweeted this week, I don't need a raise.
I don't need money. More or less.
There you go. Now, in the draft, though, they have to draft some people here, John.
True story.
Who do we like to draft? Wide receivers?
Wide receivers. Yeah. They need them.
Running back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think the hell yeah era is probably coming to an end, right? He's been a complete bust as far as I'm concerned. They like Pacheco a lot, and what's not to like? Jet McKinnon is a free agent. I don't know that they're going to re-sign him. If not, I mean, they might re-sign him because nobody signed him yet, at least that I know of. So I'd get a running back, but I sure wouldn't waste a first-round pick on that. I'd go wide receiver.
Okay. And maybe a potential replacement for Kelsey down the line, maybe a late 5th, 6th round tight end pick?
I think they got a guy they like there, though, right? Wasn't there a guy that got some touch this year?
He got some looks. I forget the dude's name.
Yeah. What is his name? And let's look him up. Let me look him up.
I think it's Walter Matthau.
He's good.
They have Noah Gray, Blake Bell, and Jody Fortson.
Noah Gray.
Yeah. Gray.
Yeah, but he's aging along with the waiting for Kelsey to get old and fall out of favor. He's getting old himself.
But he was only 2 years? He's only been in two years.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Yeah, I mean, so are you. We don't kick you off this show, dude. You know,
he was born in 1999, so Noah Gray's only 23 years old, so he's still got some time.
Yeah, they do need linemen too. By the way, I mean they got to protect Patrick, and they've lost a couple of guys. They lost Brown to the Bengals. They lost somebody to the Commanders. I can't remember who that was, but yeah, they've lost a couple of starting linemen.
All right, let's talk about the Raiders. Hey, guys, the Raiders have 12 picks as well. 12. Okay? And they have the number 7 overall pick. Okay? And they have 3 third-round picks. And they have 2 fifth-round picks. So they got a lot of capital coming in.
Sure
So,
do.
what do we like him to do at number 7 overall, John?
I don't like them taking a quarterback here, but it's
It's too
possible.
early.
It's too early.
It is.
They need offensive linemen desperately to protect Jimmy G because he is senior fragile. So I would protect him with a guy. I think they're going to need a tight end in the second or third round. I mean, I know they've got Hooper, but Hooper's getting old. They got O.J. Howard, who hasn't been relevant since O.J. Simpson. And so I would say I'd go for those. But offensive lineman for sure, because Jimmy G is not going to take hits well.
I could see them at number 7 taking Richardson. It just makes sense. If Richardson
I
falls to
could see
them,
them doing that. I don't know that it's smart, but I could see them doing it.
yeah, it's a Raider type move. All right, let's talk about the Chargers.
I mean, they've got one good wide receiver, but do they have 2 good wide receivers?
Yeah, so they have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. They picked up Jacoby Myers. That's who they got.
Jacoby Myers.
Oh,
They
good.
lost Holland. Yeah. So, I mean, the Raiders could go out and get a wide receiver as well. Sure.
Yep.
All right,
You still think
Los
Richardson-
Angeles, LA Chargers, John. Let's talk about them.
All right.
They have 7 picks. They have the number 21 overall pick. Perfect landing spot for Bijan Robinson if they're worried about Eckler.
I think
What do we
that's.
think?
I think it's a really that's actually the reason I think the Cowboys are going to trade up and get Bijan, because these Chargers I think are really eyeballing him quick. If they don't take him, I think it's a perfect, like you said, perfect spot for him. Austin Eckler is got 1-2 years maybe left. He could still bring in some good trade bait. I for sure think they need that. I think they got to get younger in the wide receiver area. You know what I mean? Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Mike Williams is an injury waiting to happen. Keenan Allen's getting old, and we count him out every year. Only last year we could actually kind of count him out. It was the first year he wasn't, as dependable as he has been in the past. So I'd get much younger in the wide receiver area. And tight end. I mean, Gerald Everett is not young either.
I like Jordan Addison to go to the Chargers. I think that's a perfect fit.
Okay.
USC guy,
Yeah.
right? Staying home, be beautiful.
Yeah.
All right,
I like that a lot.
Tony, talk to me about the Rams. They have 11 picks, but they don't have a first rounder this year. What do we think? What? I mean, they need a lot, right? What would you do?
They do need a lot, man. I mean, you still got to take a look at the O-line. I'm an O-line
You really are. You're
fan.
a fanboy today on the O-line.
Yeah, I see a lot of teams this year, like half the teams that could really improve on the offensive line. And they could use some depth at wide receiver with Homie going to the Steelers. And we don't know how they need to have somebody like they had when they had Odell. They could really use a nice young wide receiver. I'd like to see him do that.
You see that. I think they need a running back too. They got to have a running back. Cam Akers is not your long-term answer.
Yeah, I can see them doing that as well. All right, one more team, and then we're going to complete the rest of the teams next week because we're running out of time. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins, who don't have a first-round pick because of the Tom Brady fiasco, tampering, whatnot. They have a number 2, 3, 6, and 7. So they only have 4 picks. What do we want to do in Miami? I mean, I thought the natural thing would be to try to trade up and get Bijan Robinson to complete that offense. But I don't know if they have the draft capital to be able to do that, John.
No, they for sure need a tight end. They got rid of Gesicki, so who I think is actually a great pick for New England. It's a great job. I don't know. Do you think their running back tandem is the answer there? I mean, they've got Mostert, Wilson, and Gaskin. Those are career backups, all of them. So I would not be surprised. I think you're absolutely right with the Bijan Robinson. So I would say that's probably their main thing. If I were them, I'd be a little scared and might take a project quarterback this year. Just Tua's been injured. So I don't know.
I feel like they have pressing needs elsewhere, though, and they only have 4 picks. They can't really afford to be picking a quarterback or a running back. or even a wide receiver. Like, I feel like they need to focus on defense. Tony, what do you think?
They did. I agree. They gave up way too many points. Games that should have been won. I don't think they have a choice. I like what Johnny was saying, but I just don't think they have a choice but to improve the defense.
Okay. All right. We're going to stop there.
Again, from a fantasy standpoint, I don't want that. I want the yeah.
I don't either, though. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I'd rather see something more exciting.
All right. So we ran out of time. We'll finish up from Minnesota on down all the way through to, what do we got? The Washington Commandos. We'll do that next week, and that will be a couple days right before the draft starts, so that'll be fantastic.
Yep.
This was fun, guys. I enjoyed talking about team needs, and we'll see if they listen to us at all because, obviously we have a direct line to the owners, and we tell them.
It would be weird for them not to, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, nah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
And I mean, come on. We all know that, these guys are watching our show, and they're like, oh, that's a good idea.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. They're like, gosh, that Reaper, he might not poop a lot, but he poops way too much, but he also knows his stuff. So
yeah, and that Sir Poops a Lot guy that doesn't poop a lot, he should poop more because his name is Sir Poops a Lot.
We're gonna change his name.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching Fantasy Sports Island. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button, because that helps the YouTube algorithm so our videos can get out there to more people. Make sure you subscribe because we do this every week. If you're on Rumble, hit the like button. If you're on the, Apple or iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. We appreciate that as well. I want to thank John Isbell, Mr. Johnny Ballgame.
Thank you so much. That's Sir Jonathan Ballgame. I think we've now changed the name there as well. So, Chuckles, thanks, man. Every time, man, you run a great show. So thanks for having us.
Thank you, sir. And thank you to Sir Poops a Little, Tony Brooks. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Poops a little. Thank you, guys. Great as always.
Fantastic show, boys.
Hey, if you want to help Tony with a good bowel movement tonight, hit that like button. Egg him on, hit the like button, smash that like button for Tony to go poop tonight.
Maybe put them in the comments about how to get him to loosen up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like maybe just put in the comment.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week with some more info about the draft that's coming up. Can't wait for that. And then after the draft, we'll start doing our rankings at each position. So there's a lot to go.
So good.
I can't wait either. So much fun. There's a lot to see on Fantasy Sports Island. Yeah.
So good. All right.
Aloha, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Are you at the dentist, John?